What are the people saying?
5 local government out of the 13 local government is more than many states in the north.
The economy is booming. Where is the economy booming?
Bomb blast in Abuja.
Don't you have security?
Why are we fighting?
President should not just sit in Abuja or in Asokoro or wherever he lives.
Sellers are sponsoring this Boko Haram. They know them.
Men cannot be there and be there at the same time.
The life of the citizens, community need to be protected.
It can't work out.
Bring the message of peace.
Let there be proper devolution of power from the center. The center is too powerful.
The People, only on Core TV News.
We want our girls back. But I can tell you, we can do it. Our military can do it. So nobody should come and say the Nigerian military does not know what it is doing.
The good news for the girls is that we know where they are, but we cannot tell you. Okay, we cannot come and tell you military secrets here. Just leave us alone. We are working. We will get the girls back.
Where they are held, can we go with force? No. If we go with force, what will happen? We can't go and kill our girls in the name of trying to get them back.
All right, the words of El Marshal Alex Bada. You want to say, gotten chant from his followers there, and of course, don't forget. Sometimes when he was appointed, he said in April that terrorism will be a thing of the past, and here we are. Today is the 28th day of May. And then we are still saddled with the problem that have always rocked this country. And that can also take us to 2013, where President Goodluck Jonathan said in a very short while, before August last year, the issue of terrorism will be a thing of the past. But coming back to 2014, we are still battling insurgency. What is the way forward? And on the program today, we will be extracting the statement made by El Marshal Alex Bada, where he said, we know where the girls are. We know where the girls are kept. And then the confusion of a general. Joining us this morning to look at this issue is Chuks Nwoko, is a publisher, MDG Global Magazine. Good morning, Mr. Chuks.
Good morning. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, of course. I have Victor Ohai, a public affairs analyst. Victor, good to have you on the program.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, Nifemi is still here with us. Quickly, let's look at yesterday, Children's Day. There were a lot of celebration. So we also saw children took to the streets to have their own share of protest about it. Victor, let me start with you. How would you rate the statement made by El Marshal Bada? How did you feel when you made that statement? Did that give you some kind of relief, or or do you think it's a statement made out of pressure?
Maybe the intention was to give me some sort of relief, but I'm not impressed. We didn't know where Osama... Americans didn't tell us they knew where Osama bin Laden was. The only thing we knew was the man was already dead. I mean, they had finished the job. You see, sometimes out of overzealousness and, a bid to try to appear to be doing something or responding to external pressure, our leaders tend to talk too much. They've been making promises about ending this whole thing, and nothing has happened yet. Public promises. Now they're saying they know where the girls are. A statement like that creates greater responsibility, because if tomorrow anything should happen to any one of those girls, they'll be held responsible. Because if you know where they are, whatever it is your strategy is, if you did not act, or if you do not act on time and something happens, you cannot exculpate yourself. So I think it was a little careless, a bit overzealous. He should have said they're working, on it. They are closer to a solution than before, in vague terms, while doing what it is they're doing. Now you've made an announcement. If I am a fugitive running away from you, and you say to me, you know where I am, and I believe, particularly because of the added intelligence, infrastructural support they have received through drones, satellite, and the Americans and all that indeed they must have some idea where the girls are. But I think they should have kept that quiet because now you have alerted the enemy, and they can decide, they can get careless, they can act out of desperation, anything can happen.
Now, don't you think that statement was necessary, looking at the fact that the parents at a point needed to get some sigh of relief? Let me come to you. Don't you think it was necessary for the statement was very necessary for the parents to at least have some level of hope and sigh of relief?
I think so. I am trained to put things in context every time that I want to ventilate my thoughts on any issue. I do not have knowledge of what has happened before he made that statement. I know he was just reacting to the protest. That's all that I know. So if I take that within context, I agree with you. Maybe to just assuage the parents of those students and also people like me who are parents, because I've not been happy, since this incident last month, simply because I'm supposed to empathize and show connectivity of empathy, if you like, with parents of those children, because I'm also a parent. So, but for me, I think that statement can be strategic. I have never worked in the military. Maybe if you listen to what he said, he said we cannot reveal to you military secret. So maybe that's a military secret they have kept until they were brought under attention to make the statement. So for me, I think that it probably was okay to make the statement, just assuage the minds of the parents of those children and us parents who are Nigerians who, in fact, the global world is connected to this matter. So there is need for someone like me to begin to wonder why did he make this statement, and I've come to the conclusion that it's probably a military strategy. By the way, if anybody is going to make progress in life, if you want to be rich, for instance, it's not people who carry bricks and stones that are usually rich. It's those who know how to apply strategy, and strategy is usually in the mind. So he probably spoke from his mind, and I think that he should take it from that level. They are under pressure. Don't forget that this government is under pressure, military is under pressure, because the whole world, for the first time, though it's a bad incident connected to Nigeria, this event and this situation has brought the world attention to Nigeria. So they are under pressure. I mean, I can stand in the street and make a comment. Nobody brings it to make it a national discourse on TV. But if that man does, we're here today discussing him. So I believe they're under pressure and they need to tell us what is going on. And he just done that. And we should support them and pray for them that they do not make any mistake, that they do not reveal more than they should reveal, and make themselves vulnerable to the enemy. Like
Talking about being under pressure, that was the first time we were going to have that magnitude of pro-government protest. Prior to this time, it's been bring back our girls, and it's been, putting pressure on the federal government to do so. Yeah. But this time around, it was members of the Citizens Initiative for Security Awareness. Yeah. It was a pro-government group that came to show their faith and their trust in the Nigerian military, and of course to cheer them ahead to victory. So how do we justify being under pressure? And then some are of the opinion that how come this is the time that we're hearing something positive, something good, that now we know where they are when a pro-government troop is protesting.
But let's be frank to ourselves and to our nation. This incident happened over a month ago. You're moving, or you have more than 200 children with you, even if they're just 10 children. Crime is such that no matter how big you are, you can be seen or be heard. It's like corruption. When you move money around the world, there's a paper trail that follows money. So you can't move 200 children without people see. So they should have told us this earlier. I'm just saying that if we were shown competence and ability, we should have, a week after, 2 weeks after, been told where these girls are. They are not granules that you put in a pocket. So I think that that's the first point I need to make on the question that you asked me. Secondly, whether it's pro or anti-government protests, they are still putting pressure on government, and they were able to bring out this fact. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, you're protesting and you're marching towards government, and they say you're pro, whatever it is. We are all interested in having our girls back, and we need to do more of that protest. In fact, yesterday I saw a protest on Ikorodu Road. I know that we need to intensify that effort. So whether you're supporting government or whether you're anti, in fact, I think we should all support government. Whatever we're doing, we should support government to bring back our girls, because government didn't start this on time. When this thing started a few years ago, this insurgence started a few years ago and a decisive leadership action was taken against this group, we will not be talking about the whole world will not be disturbed about. The whole world is completely connected to Nigeria over this unholy act. So I think that it doesn't matter really whether it's pro or anti. What we need is for them to release our gun. If he says they know where they are, they should get down to the table to negotiate to bring back our girls for us.
It's all right. Just before let me come to you, Victor. This is an excerpt of the statement made by Bade, and he said that what this is showing is that people have finally realized that you don't have another military apart from this one that you have. And it is either you support your military or you're looking for anarchy. That was in response to the protest. And it went ahead to say that this war is not fought by military alone. This war is fought by Nigerians. Nigeria is at war. And all hands must be on deck. If you can't do anything else but you have mouth, you can support the military and not disparage the military because you don't have another one. How do you think, what position now do you think the Nigerian people should be? In the past, we've seen lots of protests, not just putting pressure on Boko Haram, but on the federal government. But there seems to be a new dimension to it. I saw a special advisor of Mr. President, and he says that they do not believe in the hashtag bring back our girls. Perhaps it should be Boko Haram, bring back our girls. Where do we put the pressure? Is it on the federal government or on the terrorist group?
I would like to, lend my voice to what he said earlier. What leadership needs is support. Even a bad leadership. They need to be inspired to do the right thing. And what do I mean? Whether the military or the federal government, they are our representatives at this point in time. So what we expect, what we should be doing rather than joining the rest of the world, like the Musevenis of this world, and the other people who are ridiculing our government, because we started it first, they would never have had the courage to do that, is to support those in authority, even if they're not very sincere. Let's talk to ourselves from within. And that's what the Americans do. That's what other people do. And encourage them to do what is right. Now, the statement he made about, okay, this is the only military you have, of course it's true. Don't forget that these people are out there and they die every day, just like other citizens. Many of them don't live in that place, so which means they are not in the direct line of fire. But when you are given an order, you have no choice. You must go, even if you are afraid in your heart. That's what you signed up for. You go to the battlefront, and you're going to face these people. So they need support. I think it was necessary that he said it. I have been against all the condemnations and politicization. We politicized this issue for too long. We're playing politics. People were feeding fat on the situation. I call that, for me, it's like blood money, because if you are very happy that people are dying because there's a different administration in government and you are not the one in government, you say, well, that's the person you voted for. If you're rejoicing over it, then the blood of those people is also in your head. I keep saying it, that if there is no Nigeria today, no political party will have anybody to rule. So as citizens, we need to support our military. We need to support whatever government is in place today in this fight, because we have a common enemy. The government is not our enemy. The military is not our enemy. Boko Haram is our enemy. And if all of us had put our hands together much earlier against them, the North was very late in coming to this realization. First, it was Christians. And then, they're killing the infidels. Okay? Then, it started in the Northeast. It spread around Yobe, Adama, and Borno, or Maiduguri first, and the 3 states. Then they started coming to Abuja, and then, it's spreading like that. And if we're not careful, it may land on the Atlantic. You never know. You only know the beginning of a crisis, you never know how it's going to end.
Before we move ahead, let's bring in our viewership into our live studios. We'd love to hear from you. We know where they are, but we can't tell you where. A statement made by the Chief of Defense Staff, Air Marshal Alex Bade. Now, you too can be a part of what's going on here. All you need to do is drop your comment on our Facebook wall. It's www.facebook.com/CoreTV News. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. It's trending on YouTube as well. It's www.youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space and news. That's CoreTV space news. You get to watch previous edition and current episode of this show and leave your comments there as well. Now, let me come to you. We know where they are, but we cannot tell you. And then when he was asked about what he meant by we can't go there with force because we are not going there to bring back the dead bodies, it was asked, okay, what then will be done? He said, that will be telling you secrets and our strategy. We cannot discuss our strategy in the open. But prior to that time, Mr. President said that there is no room for negotiation with terrorism. What we wonder, what strategy the military chief was talking about?
You do not expect the president to come and tell you, I want to negotiate with you. Because if you just took part of what the president said, don't forget he has set up a committee to negotiate with these fellows, and that committee has not achieved much. And my concern has always been what gave rise to this issue of insurgents and all that. It's very simple. We need to address that. Because if you negotiate with them and those issues are still there, you're back to square one. First, I've said in other forums that this is not the first time that wars have been fought. For instance, if you say this is a war, I've always said also that it's not a war. I heard the general say that Nigeria is at war. I've always said that we're not at war. If we're at war, I'm so patriotic I want to carry arms to defend the enemy of this country. That's how wars are fought. You recruit citizens of your country to defend the territory of the country.
There's a mass recruitment going on.
Yes, so there's a recruitment going on, but it will not include my age. I want it to be such that you can come and register and be trained to carry arms. That is how I think that this war should be fought. That's by the way. But the point here is, if you do not address the root cause of this problem, we'll continue to deal with the symptoms. And that in itself is dangerous. Now, has this war been fought before? In the USSR? Has it been fought currently in modern world like we have in Ukraine right now? We had crises of this nature in other parts of the world. Have we had this before in Nigeria? What strategies were adopted? Now, global standard today is that you do not negotiate with terrorists. But if you go back to history, when Reagan was in government, was the president of the United States of America, that was the everyday voicing of government. That's the policy. But behind the back, Reagan and his agents were negotiating with Iranians who held the American hostages. Now, you won't know this unless you go pick up the books, history books, and read. There are books written by journalists who worked with Reagan when he was governor of California, and when he became president for 16 years, they worked with Reagan. So they have these things documented, and you can go to the internet. So there are strategies of wars. That's what I'm. So you don't expect the president to come and tell you, well, I want you guys to come, let's negotiate. What he's done to show me that he can negotiate is that in the past, he set up a committee to negotiate with these fellows. Now, it's also difficult to negotiate with a man who is an illiterate. Do you understand? Now, coming back to the past in Nigeria, have we negotiated with the militants in the South Side in the past? The answer is absolutely yes. They took people, Oyibos, who came to drill oil in the South South. We're taking hostages. Those Niger Delta militants killed their own citizens, caused mayhem. Now, the problem that we have is that we do not address issues. Those militants in the South South at the time, and these guys in the North, what are the predominant factors that gave rise to this? This is bad governance. You claim that you're a Christian, you're a governor of a state in the South South, for instance, and you're a criminal, and you show these youths, you use them during the elections and you abandon them. So they cause trouble. In the North, the same thing. You find a Muslim who claims to be a genuine Muslim, who is a governor, and he refuses to live by tenets of that, whatever. And these guys are looking at you and say, oh, the reason you are doing this is because of democracy and the Western education that you have. Right? And so they take up arms against you. So that's why I said in the past that Amodu Sheriff should be brought to come and tell us the genesis of this crisis. If you guys are afraid to tell him, let us tell him directly. He needs to come and tell us the beginning. This matter has a beginning. Come and tell us how you governed that place for 8 years and held that state down against the onslaught of PDP at the time. If you're not confident of the politics and the democracy of that place at that time, I'm sorry, you need to go and check it out. So we need to find out why development took place in Saudi Arabia, in Libya, in Venezuela, where you have leadership that are basically Muslim leadership. They took care of their people by providing housing, basic employment, looking after their people. Is it Abu Dhabi? Is it Dubai? These are Muslim states. You have Muslim states in the north, they do not look after their people. And I know that I had contacts in the north at the time when I started my project in Lagos who wanted to do stuff. And they tell me we can't do it in this part of Nigeria because they just bring the allocations and they share it. So those are the things that we need to do. So if you negotiated with our brothers in the south side at the time, you need to negotiate with these guys. But I do not expect Mr. President to come and say, well, I'm going to negotiate with you guys. He will say that to you. But I expect that you should go and listen to, find out how Reagan dealt with issues of this nature with Americans who were headquartered in Israel and in Yemen.
Let me go there quickly. Now, you make mention of the fact that it's very, very hard to negotiate with illiterate. And the Boko Haram guys that we think they are illiterate have internet and they do video. They upload videos.
I was just saying that on general basis. I don't know whether these very guys are illiterate or not. I'm just saying that it's difficult for you, even in Lagos, to negotiate at that certain level with a conductor here in Ojota or in Marina. That's the point I'm making. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, let's come back to the statement made by the general, because I think for me the statement has really generated a lot of controversy. What is there in the statement?
Strategy, basically, for me. Strategy. Now, in other crimes, if this strategy does not work, you're supposed to remove him and put somebody else who you expect to bring better strategy. But it depends on the amount of education they've acquired between that time that this crisis started and now, because you need to keep reading. Do you understand? The person you're bringing, what strategy is he bringing? Like I said before, a successful man today, whether it's Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Mark Zuckerberg, the difference between him and me today is that he has a better strategy, so he's rich. Now, if I'm going to win a war, any general who has ever won a war, the simple reason he won the war was not because he had a gun. It was because he deployed a strategy. So what has failed us continuously is lack of strategy. So now that you know where the girls are, he needs to sit down and come up with a strategy. Maybe we'll have 1, 2, 3. So if one fails, he will deploy the second one. If that one fails, if it doesn't work out, you bring another person, you remove him. And the Americans have shown it in the war in Iraq and in other places.
Victor, military everywhere in the world is known for less talk, more action. Opinions from certain quarters are of the opinion that how come Alex Bade talks too much, just as he did last April, and later he said he was misquoted. Is there any need to have spoken either it was under pressure or not at that rally? Any urgent need? So
there was absolutely none. It was overzealousness because these were supporters. Okay, these were supporters. There had been other protests, but this one he came to receive them personally, so he had full knowledge of this, obviously of this of the people that were coming, and he needed to make that statement. But you know, even in strategy, less is more. You know, there are times where you might deliberately say things, of course, maybe to, you know, either mislead or whatever. But in this case, I fail to see how, other than the fact that out of zealousness he spoke, I fail to see how this can advance the cause. Because whether we like it or not, I don't know who the brains are behind Boko Haram, but I can assure you that some generals are planning in that department, on that side of the divide. Some generals who have better strategies are deploying their, if you like, mental resources behind them. You can see that obviously they have a better strategy. The thing is, right now, they have forced us to negotiate, whether we like it or yes. I wouldn't even say whether we like it or not, because we don't have a choice. While we were busy trying to strategize here on this side of the divide, they devised a very effective strategy, which is to get those girls as a negotiation tool. Now that they have the girls, we are the ones who have to go to them now and say, okay, even though they said we'll have to exchange and all that, but now we have to say that, okay, what do we want really? Obasanjo now wants to go and negotiate, okay? The military and probably the government and all that, they are working behind the scene trying to negotiate. Now they have the bargaining chips, and that's the girls. They have those chips in their hands, and whether you like it or yes, excuse my English, you don't have a choice. But before now, they could have stormed that place anyhow. But because of the kind of chips they have, young girls, young schoolgirls, and the fact that they are still alive. Don't forget they were killing their target before. The fact that these ones are alive makes it difficult for you to storm that place. Because if you lose one life, it's going to be very difficult for you. So the way I see it, I'm hoping, I don't know, but if those 9 generals have been arrested on that side, then maybe we have something good going for us, because it means 9 less big brains, behind them. Look at what is happening right now. They have deployed their people all over. Today is just, where do you want to catch this people? They're using guerrilla tactics. The last one that happened yesterday, when they invaded that town, they said they came in from different points into the town in different vehicles. They didn't come in a convoy, So they came in and then assembled and then began to unleash mayhem. They're thinking. These are not illiterates. And let me just make one thing clear right now. You see, education is not about English. What people don't understand about the Northerners is that they have 2 types of education there. Makarantan Boko, and that is your Western education. And then the Islamic education, where if you look at your currency, I don't know whether until recently or so, I used to laugh at people were saying they were putting Islamic, well, because we didn't understand. I speak a bit of Arabic, so I understand, and I can read it too. What they were writing there was Hausa language in Arabic letters. You understand? You will see Naira Eshirin there, 20 Naira. But you, uninformed, you will go and just attack and say, oh no, they are putting Islamic things there. And when they floor you, have nothing to say. So that thing remains there. You understand? It took an Obasanjo who was smarter, who understood, to now say, okay, put the different languages there, because he asked questions. He didn't just, rush into it. Now, they read, but in Arabic language. They're very literate. They read literature, but in Arabic language. They don't have to write in the Roman, is it Roman letters? Roman figure. Exactly. So they read. And the amount of political awareness and education that they have, the average graduate Southerner does not have it. On BBC, on Deutsche Welle, the Hausa service, BBC Hausa service, China, France, Radio France International, the Hausa service, believe me, they get more education. And I'm not talking about just 1+1. Have you noticed, when you go to change money, who teaches them how to do all these calculations with the people you think can't speak English? They carry their calculator. The other day, I was present when somebody was trying to get a carpet. I was shocked that this man who could barely speak English could calculate square meters. Something even I have tried it. We have difficulty, and I'm sure even you, to know how many square meters exactly. And you think these people are not educated? The more you narrate them, the more you fall flat on your face.
The big one that happened yesterday, I think, that put Nigeria to stand still is the fact that, Mr. Chuks, there was reports of the same guys marching down to army barracks, and of course they took out army. The report said that about 20 soldiers were killed, and about policemen were killed, and some people. Now, what does it say about our army? Does it show that they are ready to really take out this insurgency?
I think so. Just like he said, a better strategy worked against us. When Shetima said that these guys were better armed and all that, a lot of people quarreled with him. We wait for things that used to happen.
We're reactive rather than proactive.
Before we agree to take actions. If when he said that, and you take that as a strength, and so okay, let's correct that, it probably won't happen. And those lives that have been wasted, it's not just the lives that have wasted, those lives have gone to rest. It's the family members of those individuals that have become vulnerable because the breadwinners their lives have been terminated prematurely. So we need to provide the necessary leadership. If I say something to you, right, and I'm pointing out your weakness, it's not really weakness as such. I'm showing you what you need to do to be better. I came in here, you powdered my face. I guess that you do not mean harm. You want me to look better on TV. So that is the way leadership is done. Leadership, when people say stuff to you, you take it, you add to the knowledge you already have, and all that. But it was later we heard about the sparks between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Defense and the Americans saying, oh, there's corruption and all that and all that. Those things are the things that have been here with us for too long. And even though the whole world knows it, and even though corruption is a global phenomenon, the difference between, like I've always said, is that between Nigeria and other climes where you have corruption is because people are not punished for doing wrong here. When you do wrong outside Nigeria, you're punished for it. Now, the idea is to, cause other people not to do the same thing. But here, that matter is being swept under the carpet now, or is it under the car? And as I speak to you, this year's budget, I don't know the status. We're fighting a war to process money to buy bullets and all that and all that. So our soldiers will continue to lose our men, and since we have the population, we'll continue to recruit more people. But this is the danger. Why these insurgents have continued and probably will continue for a while. The question you need to ask is who is being recruited into the army? Let me give you a very clear fact that might worry you. In the south where I come from, if the authorities go to that region and say, okay, we have less of your citizens in the police or in the army, I know that they go to churches and they go to different places announcing that people should go and go to the army and get recruited and all that. I have heard my own brothers and sisters from the zone ask questions: how much do they pay? How much do they pay in the army and army? Because they make more money parading the streets, going to government houses, looking for free money, causing trouble, being militants and all that, than being a professional police officer or whatever. Because how much is the salary of a police officer? That's what the question that they ask. So you have a region or a segment of the population who do not want such jobs. So if you have people from a particular section of the country constantly being recruited to the army, you need to investigate why. So I think that if they continue to recruit insurgents into our forces and all that, and I won't be surprised that this. I just wanted to raise that to you, bring that to your notice, because I am aware that way back 2017, when the police went to do recruitment in my state, I was there. Those guys were saying, "Hello, Oga, how much do I want pay?" Excuse me, that's our language, where we come from. We speak Pidgin. How much they won't pay us? When they said it to them, they said no. How? Because going from office to office and begging money and being militants, driving jeeps and because our people have basic needs: roof over their heads, women, money, cars, and nice clothes. Their needs are met, and this is what government should have provided for the citizens.
Just before we go on the break, Victor, you established earlier that there's a thin line between being able to speak Queen's English and real education. Would you agree that this information made public by the Air Marshal has better armed the Boko Haram sect to defend themselves and get set for invasion?
If I was on the other side, I would say yes. You know why? You have further put yourself in a spot, and I can embarrass you because of the statement you have made. What do I mean? Fine, you say you now know where the girls are. If we now scatter them, disperse them by whatever means, don't forget that the people, I'm sure they're constantly monitoring. Because even with your Google Earth, I use Google Earth and I can see right up to the car in front of my house on my laptop. I don't know if you know the application. Exactly. I can see right street level, right up to the car. So it means they're seeing them. But you know what? You cannot use force. They have said so already. If they decide to start moving, is the military equipped well enough in order to be able to do? Can you attack? If they go with these guys, can you honestly lay an ambush without sacrifice. You know what it's like when a kidnapper, we've seen that in movies, they only need one hostage. You understand? They hold that person to ransom, and then they use that person to negotiate. If you do anything, I'll kill this person. And you don't have a choice but to provide escort for them. You understand? To go free. These people can use that information and embarrass us further.
All right, at this point, a lot of things to still look at as far as this matter is concerned. The topic we've been discussing is we know where these girls are kept, the confession of a general. The confession of a general. But we'll go for a break for the news on the air. When we come back, we'll look at the implication of the statement as it's concerned the release of these girls. Nifemi Oguntoyin is standing by for the news on the air. Stay with us.
Nigerians continue to
the city of Lagos.
There is still a problem.
Be the first to know from the north, south, east, west and around Africa. We break the news.
We are one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core TV.
A 24-hour news station.